Are we on that? Are we good? Cameras, lights, sound. Are we good? And we are on. Hey guys, sorry I have not shaved in a minute, and I haven't done a video in quite a while. So much has been going on, both personally and out in the world, and how it all just merges all together. Real quick, let's just get something out of the way. Right now, I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We're getting ready for a storm, first one in hurricane season. And it's very interesting how this storm even was put together. They had high systems that were along the lower Gulf Coast states, and then it moved this weather pattern into the Gulf to fuel itself. Of course, Gulf is very hot right now, even so hot that algae blooms, which are crazy, crazy, crazy because these blooms produce flesh-eating bacteria. We kind of grew up with it, where I grew up in New Iberia, at Sitmel Point in Vermilion Bay, but now these blooms are so big that they're affecting the Mississippi Gulf Coast, the Louisiana Gulf Coast, and also Florida Gulf Coast. You should look up what these red algae blooms do. It is a no bueno whatsoever. Last year for my birthday, I was in Sitmel Point, and I went into the water to do some hydroslide and boat activity and fun with some friends. And literally, I was sick like a couple of days afterwards because I ingested the water. And, just a little bit can do a lot of damage. But let's just say I had some stomach problems for a couple of days afterwards. But now this is literally getting across the Gulf Coast states because the water temperature in the Gulf and the immediate area of where the beaches are, because it's so shallow, that sun just gets that water so hot that allows these blooms to happening. With that being said, right now we are on the path of Tropical Storm Barry, which will probably become Hurricane Barry once it hits landfall. We are looking at getting at least 10.7 inches of water Saturday. That's going to go on into Sunday. And if y'all don't know, the Mississippi River is already it's at its brink right now. The governor and a lot of people are saying that the river is not going to flood over. Baton Rouge, the river's high. New Orleans, the river is high. They're saying that's not going to happen. But, how much do they really know? I understand their technology. And just so you know, at one point in my life, I was commissioner for Iberia Parish Levee Board. So I've been to these conferences. I know how these people interact and how they think and how they work. I was an actual commissioner appointed by the governor, John Bel Edwards, here in Louisiana for Iberia Parish Levee Board. So I have information on this, and I have my friends who are still in the system. But you can talk and predict so much that when the real incident happens, it doesn't do what you think it's going to do. There's no real way to actually predict the future, and sometimes. But that being said, we do know we're going to be getting something big. One of my enlightened sisters, she said that they're trying to destroy New Orleans again. Maybe, possibly, but this is definitely not manufactured of how hurricanes come, because if you know the story of hurricanes, they pretty much come from the lower part of the Caribbean, or they come from the Lesser Antilles from Africa, taking the wave, growing that way, and then coming into the Gulf. This was literally a storm that was moving through Mississippi, Alabama, and then Florida Panhandle, and hooked itself into the Gulf to merge itself with that water and that heat to transform itself into a pretty big storm that we're going to get. So if you look at the whole content of how this evolved, it's very different than anything we've seen before. And that's the truth. 4th of July happened, man. A lot of stuff. Some people said that disclosure didn't happen. Some people say disclosure did happen. I think in the end, it comes to the eye of the beholder and how you see it. and how you felt things happen on the 4th of July. I mean, everybody's already talked about, everybody's already talked about everything that happened on the 4th, everything from Trump's parade. And I don't know if y'all noticed this or not, but if y'all watched the actual filming of the program, I don't know who was in charge of the camera or what company or who was running that whole situation. But when Trump talked about the Air Force, that was the one branch of service that when they did the flybys, they did not show live at all. And you could hear it flew over, but they didn't show it live. And a lot of people, and Jordan Sater was talking about this, a lot of people who were there might have saw a couple things. They had some pictures of some orbs or a cigar-shaped ship behind the Washington Monument, which is kind of interesting. So it was like the emergence of Space Force, Air Force type of thing. Of course, he mentioned Space Force. And every time he mentions it, man, he loves it. He loves talking about the fact that he's going to be able to bring the Secret Space Alliance out and merge it with something new. This guy knows how to put things together. That was a great thing. When my personal 4th of July experience, me and my friend, we went to, because I live downtown Baton Rouge, the state capital of Baton Rouge, of Louisiana, is in Baton Rouge, and it's a beautiful building. And if you've never really seen it, it is the tallest capitol in the United States. If you are into architecture, you're going to love this building. You should check out the Louisiana State Capitol. But anyway, walked up to the Capitol, and it has very long steps that go to the top. And there are a bunch of people out there sitting around waiting for the fireworks to start by the river. And it kind of reminded me, I guess, of how people sat along the steps of the Parthenon thousands of years ago. Families were just together hanging out. And the fireworks started, and I looked up at the sky because I was kind of watching the sky. I was, kind of watching the fireworks, but I was watching what was all around, situational awareness. And there was definitely something that went from the west to the east. Now, it was in the atmosphere because I could see, just like the ISS or the space shuttle or a satellite, it was a low beam. It was a low brightness. And then when it got to the sun's light, it brightened up. And then it phased out and kept on going. It wasn't like a power up like you would see at James's place at East City. This was definitely, I believe it was a satellite. I don't think it was anything other than that, just by how it moved. But it was smaller than the ISS, bigger than a satellite. And our boys over at Secure Team were talking about that little secret space shuttle that the Air Force has. And I was like, that's the only thing I could have thought of it to be. And the way that it was traveling wasn't traveling like most satellites or ISS travels, which is most of the time from the south to north or north to south. This was literally going from the west to the east. So it was kind of cool to see in the middle of the fireworks right over Louisiana. There was something, and it's just like, that was way, to me, it was like, little by little, we're getting out there. We're getting out there. A couple of days ago, I was watching one of my shows that I like to watch, and I heard this quote. And I watch a lot of my TV on the closed captions along with sound, so I can read and hear at the same time what's going on. And there was a priest in the background giving a sermon as these two men were talking in this church. And excuse me, the first couple words that he said just kind of like sparked me. This is what it said. It said, "Brothers and sisters, behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all fall asleep, but we will all be changed. And that aspect of what it said, we shall not all fall asleep, but we will all be changed. So my little detectiveness and the fact that it was a priest saying this, so it was doing a Roman Catholic service that they were talking about, that they were in that situation. I typed in that quote just to see, and it came up that it was actually from 1 Corinthians 15, 51 and 57. It was part of the first letters of Paul to the Corinthians. Paul was one of the disciples, not apostles, of Jesus. Paul came up after Jesus had already gone through his cycle, and his ascension had already taken place. Paul was a Roman soldier who persecuted the Christians. And in his storyline, a blinding flash of light took him off his horse one day and made him blind. And he realized that it was God that came to him and said that God wanted him to be a messenger of the story of Christ. And so Paul traveled around the Mediterranean. A lot of people believe that it was through the funding of a lot of females who believed in the Jesus story, who financially supported the apostles and disciples as they said their message. I'm diverting a little bit, but let me read this to y'all. Real quick, before I read this to you, I read this to my mom. My mom is one of the smartest women I know when it comes to biblical church, Roman Catholic Church history. My mom went through the diaconate program, and she couldn't become a deacon because in a Catholic church you cannot, but she passed the course with flying colors. If the Catholic Church ever one day says that women can be deacon, my mom is automatically in line to become a deacon, which I don't know of any other women in the world that have that that information, that knowledge, that if it ever happens, and I do believe it will happen, because the thing is, men and their ego control, and then you can go in Jeffrey Epstein and all that stuff. It's all about control in the ego that manifests itself through inappropriate pedophile sexual activity of just crap. Okay? Women, though, are light bearers. Women make light. Women can conceive. And that ability that happens inside of the womb of a woman when life is conceived, that spark, because there's a spark, only a woman can do. And I think that transcends into the divine feminine. That transcends into who a woman really is. My mom said that Paul, when Paul was writing his letters, that he believed the Great Awakening was actually going to happen in his time. And I think there were a lot of prophets through the ages that believed that the Great Awakening was going to happen in their time. The whole story of the New Testament is truly about the mystery of God being man, and then that man, through faith, as we have, resurrecting into a higher spiritual being, the resurrected Christ, human yet divine at the same time, but yet still human, with the ability to resurrect after the dead. That was the answer to the mystery then, that existed, and that he could do that. But I found it interesting that Paul would start off this little tangent with, I tell you a mystery. Brothers and sisters, behold, I tell you a mystery. The whole thing about the New Testament was breaking mysteries and allowing knowledge to come forth. And and being within the light. Let me read this whole thing to you. And this is just my opinion, but I believe that this may be a clue to the Great Awakening. This may be a clue to the Ascension. This may be a clue to what Wilcox and Corey Good and our boys Ben and Rob at Edge of Wonder and our amazing sister Laura Eisenhower. Her and I keep emailing back and forth. We keep missing each other to actually have more conversations about everything. Real quick, I want to give a shout out. These past couple weeks, I have met and got to talk to a lot of y'all out there. And one specific person I want to give a shout out to, Bibi or Bebe, and she goes by both. Amazing, enlightened sister, an amazing story. Her and I have a lot of similarities and connections, but just it seems like a lot of y'all right now are going through a lot right now, and Laura talks about it, the aspect of what this eclipse did and where we're going and where we're heading right now. I'm just going to say this: step outside of yourself for a minute and realize that it's not just you that's going through these things. That is a collective of the human experience having to deal with emotions, yet at the same time knowing that you're just above that level where you see things a little bit different, but yet you're still having these human emotions. Have faith. Know that you're loved. Know that you're blessed. And know that when you keep doing things for others without thinking of self, the true divine meaning of service doesn't have to be big and it doesn't have to be little, but that is what will allow us to set us apart. Selfishness is the dark side. Selfishness is everything that the deep state, the Dracos, that is all selfishness. But the same S, we can flip it to service. And that's where the true ability of those in the light, of those who are enlightened, people like Ben and Rob, James at ECETI, all of y'all out there, we all have a selfishness from within, but if we know how to stop it and allow that service to take over and feel it encompass you, feel it just take over, that giving for others without thinking of self, once that merges in little by little by little every day, we will change the world through serving our fellow man. So let me read this quote to y'all. This is from letter of Paul to the Corinthians 1, 15, 51 to 57. Brothers and sisters, let me put it right here so I don't be looking down. Y'all can see me and I can see it almost like a teleprompter. You know, gotta make it look right? I mean, you gotta do this the right way. Do it right or don't do it at all, I learned. Brothers and sisters, behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all fall asleep, but we will all be changed in an instant, in the blink of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For that which is corruptible must clothe itself with incorruptibility, and that which is mortal must clothe itself with immortality. And when this which is corruptible clothes itself with incorruptibility, and this which is mortal clothes itself with immortality, then the words that is written shall come about. Death is swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Lot is said in that. And if you take this Bible verse and take it out of the context of it being a Bible verse, okay, and just think of it as a man who was enlightened and wanted to tell the story of the most enlightened. I believe he was blessed with knowledge, and this is how he wrote it. This is how he was able to kind of take out what he felt on the inside, what he knew right here, and regurgitate it. And this is how he regurgitated it. A couple of things I want to go back over. So it talks about sleeping, and it talks about death. Death and sleeping are pretty much the same thing, but the dead will be raised incorruptible. Okay. And that those who are already here, who haven't had sleep, will become immortal. Immortality. Now, is this all? I mean, do we can't answer that question. But it is saying that even those who sleep right now will be risen. What way, who knows how, what, but that it will all merge together. And that almost like they will have two different titles, that the ones who were sleeping will be raised incorruptible, and that the ones who weren't sleeping will be clothed as immortality. At the end, it talks about, because it is to fulfill what was written with death, with what was written about this quote of death is swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? I didn't look that up to find out where that came from. I was just mystified about this quote itself. So that is, I felt at peace when I read that, and when I kind of really understood, I think what it's trying to say, what Paul was trying to say. I think it's very interesting with my mom telling me that Paul believed the Great Awakening and the Ascension was going to happen in his generation. You have to realize that Jesus ascending to heaven and Paul writing this is, you're looking at about a distance of 80 years, 80 to 100 years, if not longer. And I'm not the expert. My mom is. She could tell the answer like that. But it's somewhere in that time frame. So it's not, Paul didn't know Jesus, had no personal connection with Jesus. His personal connection was that he was to slaughter the Christians under the Roman law. And then he was struck down by great light, and that light enlightened him to continue to learn more about Christianity and write about it. I'm probably going to forget a couple things because there's so much going on right now. The weather is already kind of starting to change a little bit. I noticed outside. We're going to start getting some wind and everything tonight. Tomorrow it's going to get bad. Saturday it's going to be worse. Thank God that I got in touch with my job. They are closing. Thank God, so that the workers who are part of our job can get their valuables and everything secured. If any of you out there, especially if you're in the New Orleans area, please be safe. Please stay dry. You guys have already had a shit ton of rain already. And then this is taking place. My heart will always be in New Orleans. And just hold strong, guys. Keep the faith. That blind faith that we all feel within the inside. Keep that. Ben and Rob, it was so cool to see you guys at East SETI. And then having Corey Good and James have a panel with the two other people up there. I apologize if I don't know who you guys are. Y'all did an amazing job. I mean, bravo Zulu to you guys completely. Jeffrey Einstein, what a great way to start peeling off the crust of that pie. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to get someone, start off with that one. And The dude's jet was called the Lolita Express. And we know that Bill Clinton was on it at least 26 times. And we do know that Secret Service a couple of times were not on the plane with him when he was on it. These people keep coming out, and this is going to go to trial, and this is going to blow up, and this is going to open up. And I find it funny that I was flipping through the TV that ABC was talking about doing a little thing about 20 years later, JFK Jr.'s death. And, you know, Ben and Rob have talked about it. Jordan's talked about it. They've all kind of talked about this aspect. And, you know, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I think I said that he might be alive. But you know what is alive? Is his knowledge and his information that he knew was passed on to somebody. And it's not that if JFK Jr. in the physical form is alive, but the fact that the knowledge that he knew, the information that he had, he passed that on to somebody. And he told that somebody, get ready, because in a couple years, it's going to be you that's the voice that's going to change the way America sees America and the way America sees politics and the way America sees technology and the way America sees religion. It's going to be you that makes that change. And I think that's where Donald Trump comes into play. I believe that Kennedy, John sat him down and started the whole, okay, this is what happened. This is how things are. This is what is going to happen if they keep on this course of events. And then QAnon came together with that information and then built Q. Where we go one, we will go all. And we will all learn together and we will all go through it together. And we will all think about it in so many different ways. But in the end, we're doing it together. We're not alone. And that's that message I was talking about at the beginning. You are not alone. What you feel you may be going through right now on the inside, that no one else can understand it, I assure you that people are going through it the same way you are. And I can assure you there are people who understand it. I've been blessed with the ability to listen more, talk less, especially when y'all are sharing y'all stories. And thank y'all so much for sharing your stories with me. I'm very humbled to be a part of that journey in your life. On a local level, my girlfriend has been going through her experiences, but I don't talk about that because her and I have come to agreement that that's not what, you know, she wants me to talk about. And that's fine. That's fine. I guess I will just say that sometimes I feel like I'm an Xavier X or Dr. Xavier, Patrick Stewart's character. That was a very bad Patrick Stewart impression. That wasn't even close. And I wasn't going for it. But anyway, I've been through enough in my life to know where I'm at on my level of enlightenment. And a lot of y'all are there too. Some are learning. Some are at the beginning. So I'm blessed to be a facilitator while y'all are going through this. I'm blessed to be able to share my sense of service in that process. Thank y'all for allowing me to be part of your process. And thank you for being you. Thank you for being who you are. And thank you for watching me. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but thank you for your time. If you like what you hear, if you like the message, please share it. I've started to share some videos from Edge of Wonder to some people who have power, who work with people who have power, who are part of the core group of Q Plus's cabinet. People who can pick up the phone and call Q Plus right then and there, who have his personal number. Some of them are telling me things through hints. Some of them are just acknowledging that they're seeing the videos I'm sending them. But I think now that we have Epstein in mainstream media, Sean Hannity on the Daily talks about the deep state. He has the title of Deep State, little by little by little by little. But it seems like it's moving faster and faster and faster. So keep the faith. Know that you're loved. Know that you're blessed. And know that I will see y'all soon. All right, guys. Love y'all. Bye.